Welcome to the Lara Jane Layton Show. This podcast is for you, the person who keeps putting others first. Your self-talk has held you back. You no longer need to take a second seat. Let's explore ways to overcome self-doubt. You can silence that inner bully voice and achieve your full potential. Here's your host, Lara Jane.
Hey friend, it's your host, Lara Jane, and I am so excited to have Coleen here with us. Coleen is amazing. I'm so excited. And I kind of had a rough week. And one of the topics that we're going to talk about is letting go of our limiting beliefs. And so we're going to pretend like she's going to help me. Actually, I know she will, but let's let go of our limiting beliefs and let's figure out how to have joy and happiness and love ourselves all through life. So all of the information about Coleen is in the show notes. You can go right down there, reach out to her, but we're just going to maximize her time and turn it over and say, Coleen, help me get rid of my limiting beliefs, please.
Well, lucky for you, I brought my magic wand. So we're just going to wave it, right? Thank you so much for having me today. I am so excited for this conversation. I love talking about limiting beliefs, which when I say that out loud sounds funny to me. But no, there's something that we all have. And I think that's the first thing to, share with your friends today is that those are with everyone. There is not a person on this planet. I don't care who you are. Mahatma Gandhi had limiting beliefs. Okay. Mother Teresa had limiting beliefs. We all have them. Some of them just wear them on our sleeves more so. And I think that actually makes us more authentic. The more vulnerable you can be. I mean, what a great world if we actually shared our vulnerability with others and gave each other permission to not be perfect. How does that sound?
I think it's amazing. And I try to remind myself there is no perfect.
No.
There's just everybody is in the perfect place for them right now. And I have to remind myself, right now is perfect for my growth. Right now is perfect.
Yeah. If you want, I can kind of share kind of how I came to be. So I call myself a joyologist and trademark pending.
I have a trademark pending too.
One of one. Because what I do is so firmly grounded in joy. In fact, I have it over my head right there. But it all stemmed from trauma. And I think trauma is such a beautiful place that kind of like puts a mirror up in front of your face and says, is this the life that you want to live? Because you're getting a little bit of perspective right now with the trauma. Now's the time when you can really make that shift. And that's what I did. I did it out of necessity first in order to heal our family, but it became this thing that I just couldn't ignore. I was in IT marketing leadership. Can you see the natural transition to joyologist?
Yes.
You're like right there. Yeah, obvious path. I just couldn't fake it anymore. And I didn't realize I was faking it until this trauma happened. And it took me some time to figure out that joy is the key to everything. Love is the answer to everything. Every, trigger that you have, every moment of contention, everything. When you answer it with love, things are just better. You don't have to feel stressed. You don't have to feel this. You don't have to feel that. When you serve up love, it's like it almost disappears.
Let's talk about love for a minute, because I think it's really critical, because so many of us feel like to be loved, we need to change. To be loved is this beautiful, perfect relationship. But love is really allowing. Love is really holding space for that person or yourself, just like you are right now, and to allow the growth and the change. It's not that, oh, I'll love you if you do this, this, and this. That's not love. And so as you start looking at love, it's more of that peace that everything's going to be okay. Doesn't mean it's perfect right now. It means it's going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to sound, I'm laughing because this is going to sound so crazy to say, My dogs taught me most about love.
My firstborn.
Crazy. And my kids are great. Don't get me wrong, but there does come a point where, like, I'll love you more if you get me this, or like there does sometimes tend to be parameters that they put on things. Right? Dogs don't do that. Dogs just love you unconditionally, and it is amazing to me what they taught me about how to love other people. Even standing here now, or sitting here now, I've just met you. But I have like a love and an appreciation for you. Why? Because you're a human being and we are meant to love each other. I couldn't agree more that it's like creating space and just being there for each other. I'm going to have a bad day. I would hope I could call you and maybe you could walk me through it. Vice versa. Like it doesn't have to be this, competitive, contentious state that we live in. With love, I believe when you love yourself, that radiates and you attract more love. It's, it's what's the phrase? What you put out there is what you receive. Like where you turn your attention to is what gets your energy. And so when I lead with love, everything's just easier. It's lighter. It's happier. It's more joyful. And it doesn't mean I live in a bubble at all. I have really bad days. I have really difficult topics that happen, but I have an appreciation for all of the greatness in my life, right? I have a roof over my head. I have food in my stomach. I have a warm house. What more could I want? That's like that joy piece that is saying like, I'm actually okay. I'm healthy. I have people that love me. And sure, I'm going to have things that are stressful, but I don't have to meet them with stress. If I meet them with love, they just sort of take care of themselves.
I have some reactions that are not the kindest thing. Like if someone
That's okay.
does something that interrupts my process, I'll like start to snap and I go, wait. How do I send love instead of this crappy and I have to consciously breathe and allow it to just keep to love the situation and be okay that it is part of what I am meant to go through.
Yes. Oh, you get it. You just need like that little bit more to help you get there, but you're on the right track. When you're faced with that trigger, that person that's like just what did my dad used to call it? Salts my apples.
Yeah.
Right. So when your apples are salted, you look at that as a mirror. There is something either about that person or it's something that you need to learn. So look at it as a learning moment. So, Coleen has just triggered me. What is it about that situation that I need to now learn? Because if I didn't need to know it, or if I had already resolved it, whatever Coleen would have said would have just gone right past you.
Right.
And that is like the core to limiting beliefs. It's just an education. It's just something that you haven't mastered yet and need to learn. And so, I would sit here and say there are endless amounts of things that I haven't learned in my life, like quantum physics, right? So
do you plan on it?
Don't really plan on it. No,
Okay.
and I'm okay. And that's the other thing is like being okay not mastering that. The thing is you're triggered because you want to know that thing. You want to know why that doesn't affect that person and it affects you. But quantum physics, I could care less. That's for other people, other brains. It's really fascinating. So I tell people lean into that, discomfort, because those are your greatest lessons. And once you learn it, like I said, it goes right past you the next time. You kind of see it coming and you're like, oh, there's that trigger that I know all the things about. And it just keeps going and it goes to somebody else.
Yeah. Some people say, I must not have healed because I'm feeling it again. And it's like, no, it's just the pop quiz. It's just testing to make sure that you really have moved on.
These are all just tests. But I will say, you also up-level yourself every time, right? So maybe you started, I know we're probably not going to share all the visuals, but maybe you started like down at the bottom. And so then you learned the thing and you moved up a level on the ladder. Well, that thing might come meet you again and trigger you, but you're at a higher level. So you just need to pull on that thread, and do the work, and then it goes again. But then you up level again. And sometimes that thing comes back, but again, you're at a higher level now. And so I always tell people the victory is in the response time. So that trigger comes and it gets you down and you're like, oh, here I go again. What maybe kept you down for months eventually goes to weeks, goes to days, goes to minutes, seconds. So how quickly are you rebounding from that trigger? So don't shame yourself. I'm a no shame kind of person. So I will shame you for shaming yourself, but don't shame yourself that the triggers come again. But let's look at, wow, that only kept me down for 2 days. I remember being down about that for months. Now it's only 2 days. I'm improving. Some of those triggers are big and heavy rocks. And so they will take time in order for you to heal. But again, they also change their dynamic as you up level as a human.
Absolutely. And, I start thinking about that meme that says, I love you. And if you're wondering how I can love you and I don't even know you, how can you hate somebody and not even know them? Because there is so much hate in the world that it's and I shouldn't. The word hate's very strong. And I think when people use it, they are using it as a response and not so much as a feeling, or it's more of a fear. I fear that coming into my life. I fear that coming in. But when you can change that around and approach it with love, then you no longer fear the things that used to trigger you or used to bring you down. You now know you have the tools to respond instead of react. And I loved that the shorter that response comes, the higher you have now climbed. And it's the funniest thing. I just recorded a episode, and it was, when you are walking up the stairs, you're on ground level. You're comfortable, but you want to go to that next flight, and you go, okay, I'm walking up. You're going to get tired. You're going to get winded. There's going to be something that you have to push through to get to that next level. And when you get there, you might be winded. You might be tired. You might have to adjust. And you get on that floor. And when you've adjusted, now you can go to the next flight. And then you can go to the next flight. But moving up and down is not an elevator. Sometimes it can be. But for most of us, it's those flight of stairs that take some effort and some time and purpose.
Absolutely.
And because you're getting winded is no reason to doubt you. And that's that limiting belief of, it's okay to get winded. You're getting stronger. You're going to go up those stairs faster the next time. And I just think it's beautiful when you can change your perspective.
Do you know how many people, I'm not in my head, yes, like feverishly.
3. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you know how many people in this world stay stuck? Like, I don't have the number for it, so it doesn't matter what you guess. It's a lot. It's the majority of people.
I would say over 50% of people, because it's easier. Let me just stay here because it's easier.
And I don't know the path, and I don't know the first steps to take or whatever. So the fact that you even climb that first step from the first floor to the second floor is a huge victory. And then, let's say you go up 5 or 10 steps, but then you come down 2. So what? there's nothing linear about this journey. And the word journey isn't lighthearted to begin with. So it can be, challenging and full of these tests like we were talking about earlier, but those all build character. Those all get you to where you are today. Did I want to go through that trauma? No, of course not. But then I wouldn't be where I am, and my family wouldn't be as healthy as they are now. Right. So, having an appreciation and a love for the process is what it's all about. When I was in the early days of that time frame, I was reading a book called Blessed in the Darkness. Somebody sent it to me and said, I just think you need to read this. I was like, okay, I will do anything. I don't care. Throw it at me.
Yeah, I'm desperate now.
Oh, so desperate. Oh, you have no idea. Or maybe you do, but so desperate. And there was a phrase in there that said, trouble is your transportation. And that blew my mind. I can remember it was like 8:00 at night. I'm in bed, like just trying to hold on, and trouble is your transportation. And as you can imagine, what that means is this time in your life is bringing you to a much more beautiful place. It's kind of like the yellow brick road, right? At the end, there's Oz, but you have to go through that scary forest and the wicked witch, all those tests keep coming around.
And the flying monkeys, those scared me so bad as a
monkeys.
kid.
It was just on a couple of weeks ago, which is why it's like top of mind. But that's exactly like the right metaphor is like you are going to a beautiful place, but hold on. This is all meant for you. You don't have to love it necessarily. It doesn't feel great sometimes going through it, but boy, is it going to lead to a better outcome. So I had that phrase, trouble is your transportation, on repeat. I can't tell you how many millions of times I've said that. Millions, like too high to count. I just said it to somebody else this morning. Trouble is your transportation. And they were like, got it. Okay.
And it can take you any direction. It can take you down and it can move you forward. You are in the driver's seat. Yeah. You get to choose which way that trouble takes you.
And you may not just have one journey. You might get hit, or whatever you want to call it, several times in your life. But again, you're up leveling every single time. You are learning and gaining so much from the experience that, even now, 6 years later, I still don't completely understand all I've gained and what they've gained from the experience. Maybe I'll never be able to put words to it, but I'm full of gratitude for the experience. It made us so much stronger. So gratitude, grace, I can go through all of them if you want. This is what I want your friends to hear is like joy, gratitude, grace, compassion, all of those things. We need healthy doses of that every single day in order to be our best selves for the people that we love.
It was several years ago. I started a gratitude journal because I needed to choose to look at the good things in life instead of waddling in the stuff that I was ungrateful for. Yeah, you kind of, for some reason, the things that you want to change are the ones that are on the top of your mind. But that energy you put out with that isn't going to bring you through it. You have got to change the energy of your response. And when you start that gratitude, you start to allow that transformation of you to have more good things in your life. So we need to take a quick break. We're going to get a word from our sponsor, but I really want to continue this gratitude because until we start focusing on the good, we're going to keep those limiting beliefs. So we'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Lara Jane Coaching. You know you're ready to silence your inner bully voice. Let Lara Jane support you with coaching. To schedule an introduction call, go to larajanelayton.com.
All right, Coleen, I love this gratitude topic that you brought up because it changed my life. And you said 6 years, you changed your life in 6 short years. That is amazing because I don't care where you started, to make the transformation does take time. And it is our lifetime. It is what we're going to do for the rest of our lives. But when we can change it through gratitude, it's so much more powerful than force.
Definitely. Well, so there's two types of mindsets that I'm sure you've heard many, many times. Maybe not quite like this. Like to think I might have something to add. There is an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. And the scarcity mindset is, I don't have enough money in the bank. I don't have enough friends. I'll never be whatever. And like all the like blah, 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 which, okay, maybe factually speaking, you don't have enough money in the bank, but that type of mindset attracts more scarcity. And so when you flip it and you have a mindset of abundance, that creates space and opens up and welcomes in more abundance. And I have had clients that will say like, oh, whatever. Yeah, that's like all like fluffy talk. Okay. Well, how's your scarcity mindset work? That's why you're working with me. It's because you've been in the scarcity mindset. And I was too. We all, like, it just happens that we get there. It wasn't like I sat there one day and said, I'm going to focus on the negative, because I've never been that kind of person. I've always been just, like upbeat and positive, and I don't know. It's just my DNA. But there have been times where I've been in that scarcity mindset. Post trauma, I ate and drank my way up to 50 pounds heavier. How's that? Like, that was not an abundance mindset. That was really not being a good role model for anybody in my family to help them heal. When I decided that there was probably a better way to handle this, took that all under control and started to, first focus on my nutrition. And I know we're not talking about nutrition, but I do want to stress that so much of your mental health is derived from having a healthy gut, your intestines. And so that really was the first step in reclaiming my health, was just getting my gut in check. And once I could do that, you start to be able to see what's possible. You start to feel a little bit better, and you're like, I think I want to go for a walk. I think I might want to go for a jog, or, yoga, or whatever your thing is. I always tell people, do that because it brings you joy. Don't do it because you think you're going to get in shape by doing it, because you'll resent it and you'll hate it and you'll yell at me in 3 days. But do it because it's good for you. Once you get your food in check and you start to do a little bit of physical fitness, because that creates new red blood cells that go straight to your brain, it produces serotonin, and then you feel good. Then you start to look at like things differently. Like, how are my friendships? What's my social media feed like? Do I need to do some cleansing there? I mean, it is a gradual process. It takes time, but by the time I had lost about 35 of the 52 pounds, I started to develop strategies in order to help my mindset and retire those limiting beliefs, because I knew that was the key to keeping the weight off. I knew it. Nobody talks about keeping the weight off. Everybody that's marketing something like Weight Watchers or any of those other programs, it's like, I'll help you lose 15 pounds in 5 minutes. No, it's keeping it off. Nobody wants to do this twice. So yeah, the strategy is all about, looking at those things that are triggering you and finding out what they're about. And like I say, you pull on that thread and you start to document, what is the physical reaction I'm getting? Is my heart racing? Do I start to break out into a sweat? Whatever. Everybody has something different. Somebody will start to shake. Somebody will get a headache. And once you do that and you start to write down the scenario as you know it to be, because it's your truth, doesn't matter what I think it is, it's your truth. Then you can kind of like look at it with an objective lens and decide how much is based on fact versus based on emotion. And you can kind of like separate them. And when you realize that things are based on facts, you can decide what to do with those facts. I can illustrate the point if that would be helpful.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. This little gem I like to call, I can never do anything right. Enter Coleen. Okay. So it was about 4:30 in the morning one day. My husband and I, just like any other day, are going off to the gym. He always decided to leave about 15 minutes earlier than I would to just get the morning started with the kids. And I would come back a little bit later, and then I would finish up the morning, get them on the bus and everything, and then start my day. Well, this day I run into a friend. I don't call ahead to say, hey, I'm going to be 15 minutes late, because the other times I've done that, he said, it doesn't matter. I'm here. Don't worry about it. Take your time. So I just didn't call that day. I got a call on the ride home, and it was spicy.
He was worried about you.
Yeah, he didn't say he was worried about me, but it was a little spicy, and he is not a spicy guy. So I knew that something had to be different. He never told me he needed to be to work early that day. And so I come home all in a fuss, and I say, I can never do anything right. Like, I thought I was doing right by spending time with a friend. I thought I was doing right by going to the gym and taking care of myself, right? All the things. And he leaves in a huff. They leave in a huff. I'm home like in a huff. And later that day, I took myself for a walk. And in between that time, that I can never do anything right story played 10 million times, as I'm sure you and the rest of your friends can relate, right? You know what you've had on repeat. So on the walk, I was like, is that really true that I can never do anything right? Is that accurate? Because if I look at the day, I woke up, I went to the gym, I had a great conversation with a friend, the kids are alive, all the things that I had done right. So I had like a right column and a wrong column. And I had one thing in the wrong column, which again I'm not trying to say I'm a perfectionist, but I was looking at the facts, and I had done one thing wrong that day. And I told myself I can never do anything right. When I looked at the facts and realized that was not possible, that statement, I decided I had to let that go. I was telling myself a lie. And, folks listening may feel like, oh, that's such a light example, but I can use 50,000 different examples of similar situations that you've done that you feel like without a doubt, you believe that story to be true. And I can share with you exactly why that's a lie. And once you realize that you have lied to yourself, I can never do anything right, I had to let it go. It didn't fit. And that story has never come back up. That was like 4 or 5 years ago. It doesn't come up because it's not true.
That's amazing. I love it. That's the voice that I call the bully voice. It's like we have got to find a way of changing that bully voice to be our friendly voice. And if you had a friend that was saying, oh, I can never do anything right, would you say, yeah, you're right. You can't do anything right. Give up. No, but we do that to ourselves. Our friends would take us through the process you just did. You show me everything you do is wrong. You show me. Yeah. And now you see it too. So yeah. I love that because it is that voice that we beat ourselves up with over and over again.
It is the ego, and the ego your subconscious has been trained since the day you were born, and it looks for patterns, and it says, oh, there it is. You can't do anything right. I know what to serve up the I can never do anything right story. So and that was the most empowering part of my journey when I realized if I told myself that story and I trained the ego to serve up that story, I can retrain the ego because I did it in the first place. So I can fix this whole thing myself. And I've been doing that now for, I guess about 4.5 years ago was when I really discovered the methodology. And it's the most liberating process. And it just takes some time. And to your point, if if a friend came up and said, Coleen, I feel like I can never do anything right, would I punch that person in the face or would I give them a hug? And I try to tell people when I'm talking to them, imagine if your kids heard you talk that way about yourself.
Yeah.
Wow, they would be crushed. And so let's try to be a little bit nicer to ourselves. There's that grace and compassion again. And once you start to do this work, you get better at it. You get faster at it. And like I said before, you will fall. We all fall. But the victory is in the rebound. How long did you stay down? It was months, then it was weeks, then it was days, hours, minutes, seconds. And then sometimes, when you've completely let that limiting belief go, you don't even see it coming anymore. They're just words. You applied meaning to them.
You talked about how your kids might respond if they heard those things. And I thought when we start learning to talk to ourselves with less limiting beliefs and to empower, and though this is just a step along the way, it starts coming out in our words. Mm-hmm. And our children end up not hearing those negative things, and they don't have the same how much trauma or how much crap I used to tell myself, because it came out in my words, whether I meant it or not. It might be, can you not sweep the floor right? Can you not do this when I ask you to? That parent voice. Mm-hmm. But when we learn to love ourselves, all of a sudden our words to our kids change too. And it's like, oh, look, you did a really good job on most of the floor. You missed this one piece. Let's fix it. And all of a sudden the child knows that they did good and they're learning to do better. And so I loved that statement that you had about, what if my kids heard this? And they do. Our words that we play in our heads come out our mouth and people hear them. And when we change the way we talk to ourselves, we change the way we talk to everybody. It reminds me of that meme that has this one person who's glowing, kind of sunshiny, and everybody else around him's gloomy. And then one other person starts to shine, and because you're not tearing them down, because it's not in your vocabulary anymore.
Right. You're absolutely right. And I would love to believe that people are making the shift for themselves. But in the beginning, sometimes they just can't do that. They don't feel worthy enough. And so if not for yourselves, for your kids, for your spouse, for somebody close to you, and we'll get you to the point where you're prioritizing yourself for yourself. Because what people don't realize is, again, another cliche saying, but it's totally true. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you are so completely depleted, and for me, I used to call myself the walking dead. Like I was dead. There was nothing to me. When I began to invest in myself and put myself first, they benefited 10, 20, 30 fold. They got a much better version. Even my husband yesterday said something about, your energy today is awesome. I was like, thanks. Does it feel good? Because 2 nights ago when you were up snoring half the night, I didn't get a lot of sleep. And so I was a little cranky, but the next day I was great.
How good does that feel when someone recognizes it? And guess what? We forget to recognize our own good feelings. It's like,
yes,
wow, what was the magic pill I took today that made me feel this great? We dwell on the ones that are bad, and the ones that are good, we just act like, that doesn't matter. But there was something you did that allowed you that more peace, that more freedom, because you weren't bringing yourself down.
Yeah. I have worked really hard to establish a firm foundation of self-love. I believe that is the foundation to any transformation. Excuse me. And I will die. Like, I'm clutching it. If anybody ever tried to take that away from me, I would die trying. I believe in it so wholeheartedly. It has to be how can I expect them to love me if I don't love myself? Now, do I want to change some things about me? Sure. I want to look like I'm like 15 again, but that's probably not going to happen. So I'm going to love
I don't want to live
who I am
15,
now.
maybe 20.
These wrinkles. Do you know I name my wrinkles? So I have 3 on my forehead, and that's joy, Joy, because joy is my thing. My laugh lines here on the side are Chris and Colin, my boys. I have 5 like on my chest because I'm Irish and I wrinkle easily. And that's Steve, my husband. Like, I celebrate them because I've earned them. I've like had countless expressions to earn those laugh lines. So I'm going to celebrate them.
I love it. I have never even considered naming my wrinkles.
I don't really see them though. So you have time.
It's the makeup. Oh, I love it. Really all boils down to if you really love yourself, you can respond to a limiting belief with love and reword it, rework it, let it go. I think it's Katie Byron that says, she goes through that process of, is it true? Is it really true? If it really is true, then what? Half the time, if you really dig, no big deal if it really is true. It doesn't even matter because we're focused on the wrong things. And I shouldn't say wrong. I know there's no right or wrong, but there's things that feel better. You're focusing on the things that make you feel better. And that's where, and everybody has a different thing. Yeah.
Completely.
If you really study energy levels and stuff, do I even go here? So, on this scale of energy from 1 to 1,000, love and happiness and all those things are in those 200 and 300 range. And that's where we're at today in society, where grief and sorrow and depression are in the low teens. And so as you get these energies and they combine and mix, some go up, some go down. Some are too overpowering. So if you're around someone that you just feel like they're draining your energy, they're just they could be higher, they could be lower, but the universe tries to equalize. And so all of a sudden you're fighting that, and you think about it, and an alcoholic, the energy in alcohol for some people brings them up. And for other people, it brings them down. I can't judge your use of alcohol because it brings me down.
Right.
You'll get there. And that's one of the things we learn is there are things our coping mechanisms. I got to get through life. I need to feel better. And you will turn to something that raises your energy. But you don't go from a black midnight sky to high noon in 1 second and enjoy it. It's miserable. It's that gradual way that the sun rises and gives you just a little bit more and just a little bit more. And all day long, you're growing and you're progressing. And then you get a rest.
Yeah.
And then you get to do it again. And so when you don't feel like you're making progress, it's your nighttime. Enjoy the rest. If you feel like you're going down, it's okay. The sun's going to come up again. And it's just like, we can just make it work. Well, actually, we just allow it to work.
I love to tell people, act as though you have a number of days left, because you do. You just might have like 3,000 or 30,000 or some big number, but other people have 3. So act as though you have 3 and let those little things go, because they are annoyances, generally speaking. I wrote in my journal a couple of weeks ago. I could pull it out if you want, but it was basically around joy being a choice. Like, joy to me is a state of mind. Joy is my choice to, when I'm taking my dogs outside and it's 26 degrees, I can decide that it's freezing and I'm miserable and I don't want to be out here. Or I can look at the cuteness and the playfulness of whatever they're doing and get joy out of the experience. Both are true, right? But it's like, which one gets my attention? And that goes back to abundance versus scarcity and everything. So I'm choosing to live my life as though today is my last day, and then just be really thankful and happy that I get another one tomorrow. Because I have, and we all know this, we have no guarantees, but I just choose to do it that way because I feel like it keeps me really present on, my conversations like this one with you. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm thinking about the time with you. My stomach is thinking about lunch, but I am thinking about you. Right. But that's choice.
Yes.
Both are true. I am hungry, but I can wait. Not going to die. And I'm having a great conversation with you. So which one gets my energy?
And it's where we put our focus of what we keep creating. And I love that. And yes, we can be hungry and miserable. Yes, we can be cold and miserable, but it always amazes me. I love it when I feel just like, wow, the sky is so beautiful. Or what, that overwhelming gratitude of what's going on in life. And puppies and dogs are one of them. When they can go out in this sub-zero weather and be colder and crap, and they are bouncing around and happy, and
having
they
a great
don't
time.
even notice it. And dogs are one of the best examples of this constant joy. And they never, that unconditional love.
Yeah.
What they give you is unconditional. You don't have to feed me today. It's okay. You forgot. I still love you.
Yeah.
It's okay. You didn't clean up my poop yet. I still love you. They don't care. Yes, we take care of them. That's not an excuse to not take care of them. But it's just the idea that they just love. They're pure love, unconditional. Even those animals that are raised in a home that beats them down, locks them outside, when they see their person, their prisoner, what is it, the warden come out? When they see it, they wag their tail. They're excited. They could have been kicked around, but they don't stop loving. They might hide. They may coward because they have learned that they're going to get hurt, but they don't stop loving.
It's the answer to everything. Promise
Be
you.
a dog.
Be a dog. Be a dog. Be your best version of whatever dog you want to. We have Australian Labradoodles because they're just the cutest little things. But yeah, be a dog. And I promise if you address those triggers with love, you'll see how quickly they dissolve. It is literally the answer to everything.
I have a business idea for us.
Okay.
You know how they have those wristbands that say, what would Jesus do?
Yeah.
We're going to do it. What would my dog do? How would my dog respond?
Love it. Yeah.
Because, how would my dog respond? Someone just told me I was annoying and fat and ugly and I should just hide. What would my dog do if I said that to him?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's go play now. Doesn't matter. So what would your dog do?
Yeah. They're just words. Don't apply meaning to them. My cousin called me fat when I was 10. I was a beanpole. I was so thin. I wasn't fat, I promise you. But I believed it. For 34 years, I had a horrible body image issue. What if she called me purple? Right? I applied meaning to those words. I accepted her comments as truth. So that was the big limiting belief. I am really proud to say I retired. There's a million more, but that was 34 years of abuse that I gave myself. And, like you said, what would a dog say? The dog would be like, thanks. And then just move on, acknowledge it and move on. And that's what I want to get across to your friends is you have that power within you to see your situation differently. You just don't really know it. So we just need to dust it off. That's all it is. dusting it off and, a little bit of training, and you'll be able to teach your family and your friends. And, I want to see that multiply and see, people in a much like happier, like content state in 2024. That's really my goal.
2024. Well, I'm going to have that same goal every year because it's like climbing a ladder. I will be a run higher, but there's still going to be more to do. So regardless of what year it is, we can have that same goal every day. Every day when you hit that crazy response of
just growl back and be like, "Rawr."
A dog would turn around, show you his butt.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
You told it to growl. Now tell it how to love. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love it. I love the idea. So if you were to summarize the things that we've talked about, I think, this self-love is so critical, and treat yourself like your dog treats you. Not your best friend anymore. I'm changing it to what would your dog do?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is attainable for everyone. Self-love really is attainable. And I promise you, it is not this like Herculean effort or some huge mountain to climb. These are mindset shifts. This takes a little bit of training and some patience, and you will get there. And guess what? You're going to fall. I like to just put that punchline right out there in the beginning. You will fall. I still fall. I felt for something over the weekend. Now I don't remember what it was, but I remember being like, ugh. Then I was like, you know better, right? Because it still gets you sometimes. But I mean, that was seconds saying, snap out of it. You know better. That isn't true, right? So it's learning how to establish boundaries, learning how to love on yourself so that you can provide the very best version of yourself out to those that you love and work with and care for. That's what it's all about.
For those people that still don't trust love, because there's a lot of people, we can just help them have self-acceptance that will grow into love. It's the same thing. It's just a different word. And if love has let you down, let it be acceptance. Self-acceptance is beautiful.
Yeah. And, I have had walls up in different areas of my life. And I keep telling myself, okay, maybe in that area, that style of person has let me down, but maybe this next one won't. And if I show up differently and I put that energy out there that I do love myself and this is how I expect to be treated, that's how they show up. So recognizing that maybe you've changed, but maybe they've also changed. And it's just having that boundary and the ability not to absorb their energy. Don't take that energy on. You can kind of leave it right at the front door. Don't let it in the house.
It's beautiful. Feel the joy. Start your gratitude journal because it's going to help you remember the things that bring you joy. Yeah, that whether you do it first thing in the morning or last thing at night. When I do it at night, it's what am I grateful for that happened today? Mm-hmm. And it's easy. It's a nice, quick reflection. So I really love this. And thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This was a great conversation. I had a lot of fun too. So, it's always great when it's fun, but it was a great conversation. And, I hope I just, gave people some things to think about. Look at your situation a little bit differently. Different.
Just expand our mind enough that we start thinking differently.
Yeah.
So friend, I am not a medical or mental professional. We're here for entertainment purposes. Stay tuned for the next episode.
Are you tired of waking up exhausted? You are not alone. If you're looking to take your life back, let's start with the simple step of adjusting your self-talk. Stay tuned for the next episode with your host, Lara Jane. Remember to follow the show so you don't miss a next simple step that you can use to feel more confident. And please leave an honest review.